Hey, this is Manny. In this video, I'm going to go over the Negotiator Dilemma build I use for clearing ads in the raid. I'm not just going to show you the build and then play a montage like a lot of guys do. I'm going to go over the tips and tricks for using the build during the raid. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and ding that notification bell so you know when there's new videos. And if you're looking for someone to game with, you can find me and other players in the Militia Discord server. The link is in the description below. All right, let's go into the build. So we're going to go with a 4-piece Negotiator Dilemma. We're going to use the backpack and not the chest. I'll go into a minute why. Those are the 4 pieces I'm going with: mask, gloves, backpack. You need the backpack, and the knees. Now, I'm using a holster, a Seska holster, and the reason I'm using this is because it's God rolled. So I have 15% weapon damage that I modded. It came with crit hit chance max and crit hit damage maxed. So this automatically gives me 16% crit hit chance. So now I'm going to tell you that the mask, gloves, knees, or holster, one of those can be whatever you have, whatever the best roll is. If you can get a max roll Seska in either one of these other 3 slots, then alternate it. That's all you have to say for that. For the chest, I'm going with the pristine example because it has perfect focus, so I get an extra 60% damage. All right, but you need an 8x scope. I am running AR, so you're gonna have the 8x scope on your AR to get the 60% damage. It's probably the highest damage value you can get, other than going with like glass cannon, but I wouldn't recommend that because if you get, for example, regular glass cannon is like 25% more amplified damage, but you take 50% more damage. And if you get perfect, I believe it's 30% damage, weapon damage amplified, and you take 60% damage. So you're going to drop quick. So go with focus, perfect focus. All right. Now, if you have something you want to use the Eagle Bearer, so you have an EB, the best thing you probably go is obliterate. It's not as good. It's only 15% damage. And then the other option is spotter, which is also 50% damage. It's amplified damage, whereas obliterates actually increase weapon damage, so it's additive to weapon damage and not multiplicative. So spotter is probably better than obliterate, but if you're running an EB, you can't use spotter because you'll have to have someone pulsing, or you have to have some kind of pulse. Now, if you don't use an EB and you have a regular AR, you can actually run technician and have the laser pointer that actually pulses enemies that you aim at. That's an option. I would recommend going with the talent of focus. This is not a bad one here. As you can see, it's got assault rifle damage, 10% assault rifle damage, got regular focus. So you get the additional where perfect focus gives you 60%. This will give you the 10% for assault rifle and another 50. So this is the 60. This is very similar if you can get yourself a Fenris piece. I would actually like to get a really nice Fenris piece. I could use this one, which weapon damage was a little bit higher. And as you can see, this one is a little bit more damage, so I'm kind of sticking with this one. Now, for my weapons, my primary, I know it's in a slot too, but my primary is an AR. I'm actually going with this FAL right now. I do have an EB, and I swap it out once in a while. I use it, but I can't use focus with it. So what we have is our a FAL in here. It's got assault rifle damage, health damage, and damage targets. Health damage is great for the Chungus, which are very tough. You have damage to out of targets, works really well on all of them because everything's coming out of doors, everything's rushing, and nothing is really hiding in the raid. So it's a really good one. Now, as far as talents go, you can go with something like Optimus, which will increase your DPS, but I actually like fast hands because we are crit heavy. So we got our max of 60% crit for our AR. So this will help us reload quickly because with this 40 round mag, I'm going to burn through it pretty quick. Now, let's look at our actual Negotiator Dilemma pieces. So our mask, basically you're doing the same thing with every piece. You're going to go, you have weapon damage, trying to get it maxed out. This is a great piece here. I got 50% here. We're going to put crit hit damage on it as our second attribute. And then our mod for the mask is going to be crit hit damage as well. Same with the backpack. We're going weapon damage, crit hit damage for the mod. Now gloves, we're going to go weapon damage, crit hit damage, and knees, weapon damage, crit hit damage. Now, I know I told you I'd tell you why we're not taking the chest. The chest piece has a talent called target rich environment, so we can mark up to 5 targets instead of 3. Well, here's the thing: you don't usually have that many targets out, and they don't last long. They can't last long. If they last too long, you're in trouble. So the chances of marking 5 targets versus just 3 are very slim to none. So you're actually losing out on stats here because you can actually get a better talent, for example, like focus and 3 attributes as opposed to just 2. So I would stay off the Negotiator chest. Now for your skills, we're going to go with Reviver, and we're going to go with a Striker Drone. You can go, if you find yourself dying all the time, You can go with a shield, and we'll talk about when to use shield, when you use striker drone. Striker drone is actually pretty good on, especially on boss 3. Boss 2 and 4, maybe go with shield. I don't know. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Now I am going with sharpshooter for the 15% headshot damage and weapon stabilization, which is really helpful. So that's really the entire build. And if we look at our stats, so our rifle has 56.2% crit hit chance, and if we switch over, our AR actually has 60% crit. So what we're getting here is we're getting our holster has 16% crit hit chance. The weapon has 10% crit hit chance, so it's got 5% for the laser pointer and then 5% for the muzzle flash. My watch has 10%, so make sure you max out your watch as fast as you can. Crit hit chance is a very good one. It should be the second one after weapon damage to max out. And then my chest has, I believe, 10.2% crit chance between the actual attribute and the mod. And then Negotiator Dilemma is going to give you 15%. So it's a total of 61.2. 1.2 over the max, which 60 is the max. Not a big deal. We're not going to worry about that 1.2%. That's the build. Now let's get into actually how you use this during the raid. Negotiator Dilemma is a great build for boss 1 because there's 3 ads plus the boss, and you want to DPS the ads down as fast as possible. The easiest way to do this is to mark 2 of the ads, and the way you mark an ad is you shoot it until you get a crit, and then you see a little red mark on their nameplate, and then DPS the boss. The great thing about Negotiator Dilemma is the extra damage it does when critting actually circumvents the shield, so it goes directly to the actual NPC and you can take it down quickly, as opposed to worrying about the shield being in the way. Now this isn't a speedrun build because you'd actually want higher DPS. You'd want a strictly pure DPS build for this if you're speedrunning it. But if you're going to be running it in pugs and just generally just want to complete it, this is the best build to have, because as soon as the shield guys come out, mark 1, go right back on the boss and you tag the boss. You're doing all your direct damage to the boss, and then the shield guys will just drop. You see an example here where a shield guy runs right by me, I mark him, and then I get right back on the boss. Now one thing you do have to be careful on this though is when other people are running Negotiator Dilemma, you'll see the actual Negotiator Dilemma marks on them, but they're not always necessarily yours. I wish Massive would fix this so that you only see your marks and not everyone else's, so you know who you marked and who you did not. So that's it for this boss. Just mark the shield guys and DPS the boss. So with the Negotiator Dilemma build on the second boss, you're going to be on ad duty. So you're going to be down low, you're going to be reading codes, you're going to be taking care of the red boxes, and you're going to be dropping off RPGs. You're going to want to learn the actual spawn points for the ads, but it isn't that hard because there's only a couple doors that come out at each point. Make sure you find a point where the ads aren't going to come behind you, and as soon as they do spawn, mark them up, DPS the higher tier guys, because the reds and purples will just drop when you DPS the yellows. Well, this build actually excels at ads. It doesn't do great on single targets. So once you get down to the point of DPS in boss 2, you might want to actually switch out your build for something that's going to do a little more damage on a single target. And this will be much easier to switch out your loadout when Massive actually implements the new change that's coming out, where you can actually switch your loadouts while skills are on cooldown. And boss 3 is a bit the same as boss 2, where if you have a Negotiated Dilemma build, you're going to be on ad duty. So you're just going to roam around the platform and just mark ads and kill ads. That's all you're going to do. Not too hard, just keep going like this. Make sure you're marking at least 3 before you're killing 1. And when you come across a heavy, aim for the weak point, take out the backpack, then you just shoot him in the hips and he'll die real quickly. Given the amount of cover you have on this platform, I'd actually recommend dropping the shield and going with a striker drone, because the striker drone actually does help on the final boss to keep him a little busy while you guys are trying to DPS him and take care of the ads. Now when all said and done and you're actually on the third boss, Negotiator's Dilemma is really great on this because you have the boss, plus you still get ads coming out. Anytime you have the ads out, you're going to mark an ad and you're going to right back on the boss. This is also a good time to break out the striker drone and make sure you have it on the boss. Not only will it add a little DPS, but it'll also keep him busy and he'll be less likely to attack someone else. Now I ran a Negotiator's Dilemma on the fourth boss, but I'm actually thinking a single target would be better, simply because the ads didn't come out fast enough to actually make use of the multiple ads and marking ads and shooting another ad. They came out onesie twosies and they died so quickly that I think a single target would have been better. Now if you get in a pub group where they're struggling with the ads, then Negotiator Dilemma is going to be really useful. But if you guys are killing them real quickly like this, it really doesn't make sense. So that covers the raid and the basics of using Negotiator's Dilemma. I feel like it's fairly easy to put the build together, considering you can often buy the pieces from the clan vendor or Casey Mendoza. Now, your mileage may vary, but if you follow this one simple rule, you'll do fine. Mark 3 targets and direct DPS the highest level one. So in other words, shoot the yellow. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button below and leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. If you'd like to see more content like this, then please smash that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Maniocrity, where I stream Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, agents, happy hunting.